Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and this is the first episode of getting this donor 1946 Ford to run. So this is the car that I picked up last episode. I didn't really do a whole lot last time. I just dropped this thing off and that was about it. So this time we're going to get access to the engine. So I've torn apart the whole front end already, and we've also built this fancy tent for it. And you'll get to watch all that happen, so sit back and enjoy. All right, got the car moved where I wanted it to be, just right next to our other one. And now it's time to put the tent up. We're just gonna build it around it. So I just took all the loose stuff out of the car. So now we're just going to run a vacuum through all this. It's pretty dusty in here. But I mean, overall, for being as old as this car is, I'm pretty impressed. It's in very good shape. So now that our tent is up and our car is in, it's time to start tearing all this front end off and get better access to the engine. So the front fenders, the grill, all that's going to be removed. I've already taken the fuel bowl that goes right next to the fuel pump. I already took that off and cleaned it out. And I tried seeing if fuel was getting to the pump, and I found something pretty concerning. Let me show you. Just gonna go ahead and just loosely put the battery on. And we'll go ahead and step into the car. Flick the ignition on. Make sure it's in neutral. Clutch in, and now we'll try to start it. Just give it a listen. So, I'm not sure what that sound is, but I don't think it's very good. So to me, it sounds like the gear on the starter's going out. And now, if you don't know, the starter is all the way right down there. So removing this fender is gonna make this easier, and in general I was just kind of looking at pulling it anyways, so let's go ahead and get this done. Now, one quick little thing that we can do to help is go to these joints right here. These are the bolts that hold the fender in. There's a whole bunch of them down here. We're just gonna go ahead and oil all those up. Might help make this a little easier to remove. Okay, so I've gotten most of the bolts out on this side, minus the one right down there. There's another one right up here. The reason why is because they spun inside of their cage nuts. So I'll show you how I deal with that. Back on the inside, here's the pieces of one of the cage nuts right here. That's what I've done. So I just removed the cage and then just put a pair of vice grips around the little square. And now we're just gonna loosen it, and we'll probably just snap that bolt, but it doesn't really matter because it'll be out. So the vice grips fell off the first time, but that's pretty normal, so just put it back on and try it again. As you can see, the bolt came out. And if we go over here on our vice grips, there's our little square shaped nut. I just have one more to remove. The problem with it is it's inside of here. So for that one, the other side of it's already rusted pretty bad. So I think we're just gonna have to pull it through the metal because I really don't have an access point to the backside. Gotta come up here and pull all of these 7/16 nuts right here, which attach this panel to the front. Now it's really common for these to break off, but that's no big deal. You can just buy new ones. It actually kind of helps because it's faster to break them than it is to actually loosen them all the way. Once those are out, then I gotta pull all the radiator bracket bolts as well. Doing this the way I am, we're just using a wrench on the other side. Make sure that it's not gonna touch your radiator. So put it like this where it won't smack your fins and destroy them. I'm gonna pull these two bolts right here. I have to pull these two for this fender. The rest of them are just attached to the grill, which I'll pull later. Okay, so theoretically, I've pulled all these bolts out, so it should just come on off now. So we're gonna give it a little test. Okay, there's one bolt left. Let me show you that. So this last bolt is right there. That one right there is the last one I gotta pull. So let me take that off and we should be good to pull this off. Let's try it again. That was the sound of my 7/16 wrench falling into the engine bay, and I never found it. Oh, no, there's one more. That other 7/16 that's right there also needs to come off. I'm generally convinced that wrench is gone, so this is the only one I have left, just a little stubby, so hopefully it'll work. I actually found a second one of those I gotta pull, so let me do that right quick. Okay, that should actually do it this time. Hopefully. Yep, there we go. This is that bolt right there that I couldn't get out because the cage nut broke off and I can't access it. So the way I did this on the other car, and then I'm going to do it on this one, is just kind of pull it through. I know it's not great, but I don't really have an option. It's already rusted, so it's kind of just whatever. So I'm just going to kind of try to just get that bolt to just come on out just by rolling this fender around and just pulling really hard. Just kind of twisting it and seeing if she'll want to pop. There it goes. Obviously that wasn't ideal, but as you can see, that was already pretty shot anyways, so I'm not really too concerned about it. There's no way to access in there, so if I was a betting man, I'd say that right there's our starter, and since it was making that grinding sound, I'm gonna have to get to that and probably remove it if I can. Oh, I don't really know how to do that, so I'm gonna get this battery tray out the way, and I mean it's, yeah, ruined. So let's get this battery tray off right quick. Well, this can't be helping either. That's the ground point. That's pretty awful. And then the engine has a ground strap that's way back here. Trying to get a good angle. Yeah, that's not great either. So I'll have to find a solution to that. And I did get access to this starter. The problem is I still don't really know how to take it off, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit of researching before I can do that. All right, guys, so I got the starter out. Take a look at that starter gear. It looks completely fine, no damage at all. So that ticking sound was not the gear stripping, so that's very good. And the way I got this off is on the back side of it. There's just these two little bolts that just go all the way through. I don't know how I didn't notice that, but I didn't. Then we can go check out the flywheel gear too. It looks completely fine too for that stretch. I haven't turned it around yet, but I will here soon. So I think we're all good. I don't know what that grinding sound was. Also, a little side note. If you do any sort of work on old cars or old things in general, I highly recommend getting one of these gunsmithing screwdriver sets. It just comes with a whole bunch of different size flatheads, so that way you won't strip out all the bolts you try to pull out. I'm going to go ahead and remove this driver side fender too. On this one, you have to be a little careful because this line right here, this is just some electrical wires and your hood pull goes along this, and it's put in with these clamps. I already pulled this one. There's one back here that I just pried off and popped that out. And there's, as you can see, it runs all along. So it's really important that you get those pulled, or else you'll be in a pretty bad situation. So let's get it pulled. Alright, so the fender's starting to come off, but I got a bolt right there that's stuck, so I'm just going to cut that right quick and we'll be good to pull this off. There we go. Now the fenders are torn off. We have a whole bunch of access now. So I can get right up into pretty much everything and work on what I need to. So the next step here is going to be getting this radiator out. I've already started pulling some stuff. I got all the clamps off. It's been leaking water on the other side for a little bit, just been letting it drain. So there is still stuff in it. A little bit. It's nasty, so it needs drained anyways. But then we're gonna get to that distributor, probably take it off. I need to get these water pumps off too. Okay, so if you have a radiator hose like this one, where it's stuck and you can't just pop it off, use a pair of these channel locks and just lightly grip around it and then twist, and it should hopefully pop off pretty easily. There it goes, just like that. Now that it's all nice and loose, you should hopefully just be able to pull it right off. Just like that. And then we'll just repeat that on the other side as well. You should be all good to go. Okay, so now we're up at the engine fan. And I gotta pull this fan off, so we're just gonna yank these bolts out here. There's a little 3/8. To anybody that may know more about these engines than I do, is it good for this thing to do that? Like just go that in and out movement? Is that normal? Just let me know in the comment if you know. Alright, so after all that work, we finally have access to the distributor. So let's pop this cap off and take a peek. Well, you're seeing it before I can, so hopefully it's not incredibly awful. So for any of you guys that probably know more about distributors than me, how does everything in here look? Think that looks good? And here's the actual internals. I mean, to me, who has no idea what I'm looking at, I think it looks good, but just let me know what you guys think. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I know I didn't really do a whole lot towards getting the engine running, but I did remove pretty much the whole front end of the car. So I just got access to the distributor. I don't really know what I'm looking at, so I'm going to have to do some more researching and figure that out. However, I do suspect that this little coil here is probably shot. It's not the stock one. I don't know anything about that either. And then we cleaned out the fuel bowl, so she's nice and pretty and clear now. I haven't really been able to test whether or not it's getting fuel because I had to remove the starter over there earlier. And then I still got to fix that oil line back there that I know is loose. But other than that, it's just going to be a whole lot of refreshing on this engine. I still got to pull these water pumps. That'll probably be next episode. But I have a trip I got to get ready for next week, and I need to get this video out. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.